Okay, let's talk about something that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, but it's really not anymore. We're talking about an AI that can literally look into your future, your health's future, to be specific. So let me just start with this question. What if some algorithm, some piece of code, could tell you the specific diseases you're likely to face, maybe 10 or even 20 years from now? It's a huge thought, right? Well, a brand new study suggests we're getting incredibly close to that reality. So let's dive right into this, because what we're basically talking about is a medical crystal ball powered by AI. And you're probably wondering, how in the world is that even possible? Well, get this. According to a groundbreaking study in the journal Nature, researchers have built an AI that can calculate your chances of developing over 1,000 different diseases. And the craziest part, it can do this up to 2 decades before they might show up. This could totally change the game for preventative and personalized medicine. Now, I know this sounds like pure magic, but it's not. There's a really clever logic behind it. So let's pull back the curtain and see how this prediction engine actually works its non-magic. The easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think about something like ChatGPT. You know how it learns from billions of sentences to predict the next logical word? Well, this health AI, which is called Delphi 2M, it uses the exact same idea. But instead of words, it learns from the sequences of a person's life, all their past diagnoses, their risk factors, everything, to predict the next likely health event. And to learn these kinds of deeply complex patterns, you need data, a lot of data. The model was trained and validated on the health records of nearly 2.5 million people from major health studies in the UK and Denmark. I mean, that is just an enormous, massive data set, which is why it has such a deep understanding of how our health can unfold over time. So when you have that kind of power, you can start to imagine that the potential benefits here are just huge. And not just for us as individuals, but really for public health as a whole. You know, one of the most fascinating things to come out of this, according to one of the co-authors, was how the AI started to see all these hidden links between diseases. Like, it wasn't just predicting things in isolation. It could see how a mental health issue early in life might increase the risk for totally different physical diseases later on. It's like it understands the entire complicated web of our health. But let's be really clear about something. This is not about certainty. It's all about probability. So, for instance, when it's trying to predict a heart attack 20 years out, the AI is about 14% accurate. Now, that's a bit better than the 12% accuracy you'd get just by looking at a person's age and sex, so it's a real step forward for sure. But it's also a good reminder that these are calculated risks, not some unchangeable fate. Still, the potential upsides are just enormous. I mean, imagine knowing you have a higher risk for something and being empowered to make lifestyle changes right now. For governments, this could help design smarter health policies. And for scientists, this is a revolutionary tool. It can generate safe synthetic patient data so they can study diseases without ever touching a real person's private information. That's a huge deal. All right, but for every incredible promise, there's always the other side of the coin, right? This amazing tool comes with some really serious ethical questions and some potential dangers that we absolutely have to face. Because what happens if this data falls into the wrong hands? Could an insurance company deny you coverage? Could a bank refuse you a mortgage based on your future risk of getting cancer? And then there's the personal side of it. What is the psychological weight of knowing you have a high risk for a disease you can't do anything about? We could end up creating a whole society of preventative patients just constantly anxious about what's coming. And look, this isn't just paranoia. The risk is very real. There is a world of difference between a data source like the UK Biobank, which has incredibly strict controls, and some commercial services out there. We've already seen commercial DNA companies get into trouble over data protection issues, which just goes to show how carefully we have to handle this stuff. So where does that leave us? We've got this incredible, promising technology on one hand, and this really significant, scary peril on the other. What's the path forward? How do we even begin to think about getting this out of the lab and into a doctor's office safely? The researchers themselves are being really clear about this. It is not ready for prime time yet, not even close. Before that happens, the model needs a lot more refinement. It has to be proven in actual clinical trials. We also have to seriously study the psychological effects on patients. And maybe most importantly, we have to build rock-solid, ironclad data protection to stop it from being misused. So here's the bottom line. This is no longer science fiction. The power to get a glimpse of our medical futures is coming, and it's coming fast. The real question isn't if we can do this anymore. The question is how we, as a society, are going to choose to use this power. What rules will we put in place? And what kind of future do we really want to build with this kind of knowledge?